Hi, I'm Danger Dan Jers, the host and GM of the D&D Real Play podcast, D&D Dark. Join us on Wednesdays for an absurd, over-the-top comedy horror adventure, starring some of history's most infamous monsters.
I'm Ben Magnet. I play Mary Frankenstein, our barbarian.
I am Daniel Cruz. I am playing Imhotep the Mummy, our cleric.
I'm Jordan, and I play Larry Talbot, a lycanthropic warlock.
I am Grayson, playing Jet Griffin, the Invisible Man, the party's rogue.
I am Aaron. I play the Phantom of the Opera, our bard.
For more information, go to dndarkpodcast.com and listen to us anywhere you find podcasts.
Hey everybody, this is Davis over at the CFG, and I would like to welcome you to another episode of Pop Culture Gems. This is a series where we talk to amazing creators, artists, cosplayers, voice actors, and so much more. If you like the interviews we do with our amazing guests, give us a thumbs up or subscribe to our YouTube channel, the CFG channel, or you can go to either our main website, confreaksandgeeks.com, to listen to all the series of episodes that we did before, or you can listen to it on the go on any podcast services that are currently out there. Today, I am with a talented voice actor who has done several roles in gaming, animated novels, and anime series itself. You may recognize her voice in series and games as Mirai Hatada in Christ Star, the gluttonous witch Daphne in Re:Zero, the helpful demon slayer nurse Sumi Nakahara in Demon Slayers, or the crafty killer Nana Hiragi in Talentless Nana. I would like to welcome Michelle Marie to the show. How are you doing?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing good as good can be. It's just been a long day already. Well, I'm central, so it's 2:00 here. I feel like,
well, at least it's Friday, so we're almost there, almost to the weekend.
Very, very, very true. I cannot wait till the weekend, so that's good. I hope you're having a great day too. So
yeah, it's pretty good so far.
Awesome. Well, that's good. Well, let's get into it. I have a lot to talk to geek out with you from. Let's see. Just from being a teacher to getting into voice acting, what got you motivated to get into voice acting, and what's your story behind it?
Well, my love of acting actually happened at a very early age when I was 6. My parents took me to my very first musical, and I just fell in love with the stage. And even at 6, I was like, I know I want to be an actor. I'm going to do this. This is my thing. And so I participated in musical theater and theater throughout my childhood and all through high school. And I was really lucky that my hometown really cared about the arts. And so we had the Performing Arts Center, and there was jazz festivals, opera screenings. It's still really important to my small hometown. So I was really lucky that I had that background to kind of be introduced to acting. And then I kind of fell off the bandwagon of acting because real life kind of happened. And so I was like, I'm going to be a singer instead. And you know how people have dreams and they change how depending on what happens in life.
Yes,
then
your priorities swiftly changed to something else.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, my parents told me follow your dreams, but make sure you have a backup plan just in case, because you can always follow your dreams, but if you don't have any money, well, it's kind of hard to do anything. So, and that's kind of how I fell into teaching, actually, because I went to college for music and Japanese studies, because I was like, okay, I'm going to get that, my undergraduate, and then I'll get my master's in teaching later. And then I actually went to a Japanese immersion preschool where they only spoke Japanese. And so it was really, really cute, because all the little kids would call me Mishiru Sensei, and it was really cute. And I worked there for about a year as a substitute teacher. or I guess an assistant teacher. I was there like full time. And then I realized like teachers have an incredible amount of patience and they work tirelessly. So shout out to all the teachers out there. But I was like so tired and it was just not for me, even though it was like, it was nice, but it just wasn't for me. And so then I moved back home to Oregon and sort of just was like, what do I do now with my life? And then I worked at a title insurance company for 2 years. So I know all about things like easements and all these boring things that nobody really knows about. And then in 2016, I decided that I was going to try to do voiceover professionally because no one ever told me I couldn't do it. I was the one who told myself like, oh, it'll never work. So I was like, well, why don't I just try? And then I took a 2-day class, and I realized at the end of it that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So then I moved. So I got married in 2018, and then during the same week that I got married, I moved with my husband to LA. Don't recommend that for anyone wanting to do that.
I have to say though, that's a hell of a 2-day class for you to be like, yeah, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. That is, wow, that is a pretty crazy. So you were teaching, but teaching wasn't really your calling. You knew your teaching wasn't your real full calling. You were just using that was your backup just in case, right? Just to play it safe.
I've always loved little kids because they're super cute and, their ability to just ask questions and, look at things differently. Because as adults, when we get older, we kind of are conditioned to be like, okay, this is the one way that you look at things. But kids they don't look at it that way. They have, they're so imaginative. And so it's just really refreshing to, have that perspective from like little humans that, are so excited to see you when you come to school. So yeah, it was a wonderful experience and I would totally do it again. But it wasn't what made my heart feel like, oh, this is what I meant to do.
That's definitely, that's cool, but I just find it very fascinating that so did you have any kind, besides the earlier training that you did before you went into kind of pivoted to teaching itself, did you have any kind of like training when you went into the voice acting besides that 2-day course and then deciding to move your whole career to California?
Well, I kind of was doing like indie voice acting, just sort of like projects with my friends back when I was in high school. I actually Kira Buckland was my original inspiration because I found projects that she was a part of on Newgrounds. And I was like, wait, you can do this from home? Like voice acting's a thing? And so like, she's the one who inspired me to even start voice acting. And I actually met her at my very first convention that I ever went to at KomoriCon in Oregon. And so it's really like such a privilege to be a part of projects with her now as like, fellow professional voice actors.
Man, Kira Buckland just like travels around. It's like I've heard her name so many times. And it's funny. I've interviewed her too, and I'm like, man, she is a very good staple point in this community of like voice actors.
She's a wonderful person, and she's very gung ho about helping everybody, and she just really looks out for people. She's wonderful.
That's so great. And like and kind of back to your teaching, like I heard like you said when you were teaching you were living in Japan when you were teaching, like
it was a Japanese immersion school in Washington. So it was here in the States, but at the school they wanted to help the kids learn Japanese, so we only spoke Japanese at the school to help them with that.
Wow. So that I didn't even know something like that existed. That's I wonder if it's still, that's a really cool idea. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh wow. But you did live in Japan though for a bit, right?
Yes, I lived in Japan for 2 years.
Oh, okay. So then that was something different. Okay, gotcha. So that makes sense now. Okay, and
I've done so many things, like because that's what you do. You kind of discover, what do I want to do? Is this what it is? No. Okay, this no. Like So if anyone says they have a plan with their life, they are either lucky or they're lying and figuring it out as they go.
I just love it. I mean, yeah, you definitely moving around. That's awesome though. I mean, geez, like that's really cool. Then and and are you fluent in Japanese?
Yes. I struggle with kanji. Like, I'm not so good at reading it. My husband is an expert at kanji. He like knows all the little tiny particles and radicals and is like, this is a person leaning against a tree. So I like to say, like, together we make one brain, because he's good at reading and writing and I'm good at speaking and understanding. So like we're one brain that way.
Was he also like a Japanese, like, like, did he study Japanese in college too, or was he just
studied Japanese at Berkeley?
Oh, okay. Well, Berkeley alone. So we'll leave it at that. Oh, wow. Okay. So like, I mean, like, but how was living, like, compared to like in Japan? Like, how was it living in Japan compared to like in the US?
Like it was so interesting because the very first year I went, I was a Rotary International Youth Exchange student. And so it was like my hometown and a town in Japan like have a sister city kind of relationship. And so that was like compared to my hometown was probably, I mean, it might be a few more people, but my hometown's only 12,000 people, so it's like really tiny. But the place I went to had 64,000 people, so it was kind of a big jump. But it was still out in the countryside. I lived in Yamagata-ken for a year, and it was so nice and it was beautiful. And I have so many stories. But then my junior year of college, I went to Tokyo for a year. And yeah, that was kind of for college. But yeah, that's how I lived in Japan for 2 years.
Wow. Like I went to Japan the year before, the situation that's happened. And what was there for the Tokyo Game Show. And like Tokyo is like a sea of buildings, and it really overwhelmed me. And then what's weird is like I'm from the city, but for some reason Tokyo is a beast in itself. It's crazy. I love it, but I want to check out the countryside itself and the kind of the less reserved. It is. Oh, so man, that's one of the things.
It's so pretty, and I'm realizing that I didn't actually answer your question. I got off on a train of thought because I was thinking about Japan and I got excited. I think the biggest difference is that, like, one of the things that I really liked about Japan is that, okay, so Japan is they own all the 7-Elevens, even the ones here in the United States. But the marketing is so different. Like here, it's all like pizza and wings. And in Japan, you get actually like home cooked meal looking things. And like with meatloaf and vegetables, and you can buy fresh produce and all these wonderful different flavors of ice cream. And Lawson's pudding. Lawson is a grocery store.
Lawson's.
They have the best pudding ever. You cannot get it here. I miss that pudding so much.
Are you serious?
I mean, maybe in like Little Tokyo, maybe they have pudding, but it's not Lawson pudding.
See, that's what's funny to me because I didn't know. Well, first of all, I had no idea 7-Eleven was owned like that in Japan. That's cool. But what I loved about, like, yeah, you're right. Like the convenience stores, insanely clean. Like it is not like there's no ounce of anything. Like it's organized and everything like that. But you're totally right, because like we're like, hey, you want to go to a restaurant? No, let's go to the 7-Eleven. We're just gonna get a small little meal and we'll be good enough to go eat. Like a rice ball and stuff. Oh yeah,
yeah. Totally that's the thing I missed too. Is the rice balls were so good. They had and like the train system was so interesting because I had to go to school every morning. And they do actually push people onto the train, and so it was like really like interesting to watch it because they're like shoving people in, and they have like that's their job, is to shove people into the train so the door can close.
Oh, that's so funny. You need to go back. That's what it sounds like.
I know. I really want to go back. I miss my host families a lot.
Oh yeah. Well, you already answered the question of what you missed already, which is the pudding. So there you go. So
that's the entirety of my Japanese experience summed up. The pudding.
the pudding. It's like, I can't wait to get some more of that. What kind of pudding is it? Like, what? I didn't even know.
It's kind of like flan, but it's like it's hard to explain, but it has like a little layer of caramel at the bottom. It's like so tasty.
Oh no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. My friend had some of that when we were there too. I don't like the texture of pudding, so I said no.
Okay, yeah. I understand that.
The texture feels so weird to me. I was just like, oh, no, I'm
it's
good.
all jiggly, like Jello.
Very much so. All right, and okay. I just started to watch. I watched the most one of the recent the series, the Talentless Nana.
Oh yeah,
and
Nana.
My God, dude! It's weird because when I first started to watch it, I was like, "Oh, okay, this is slice of life," and with special whatever.
It's a slice of life, but it's slicing other people's lives.
Very much so, yes, and it doesn't slow down. It just keeps on getting. It just gets more and more. But I was just thinking about Nana, the character herself. Would you consider? Because I was actually kind of wondering about this. Would you consider herself to be a sociopath because of how she takes these people out, or do you think she's just a soldier following orders? Because the whole situation is kind of mixed of what's going on, and I just wanted to know from the voice herself, what do you think her character is?
I think Nana herself is actually quite confused about that. Clearly she is dedicated to her mission because she accomplished it in several situations. But it's interesting to note, I'm not sure if she did it with Yuka, but when she killed Nano and some others, she prayed for their soul. So I feel like that's a very tiny indication that she does still have compassion for them, even though she's like, oh, I hate them and I have to kill them. And it's interesting because, spoilers, but towards the end of the season, or I don't know if there's I hope there's a season 2, but I'm not holding my breath. But towards the end of the show, she, befriends Michiru, and she throws away her entire mission, decides to just die for this girl that I don't even know if it's been a couple weeks. Anime time is hard to keep track of. I don't know if it's been a month or a couple weeks, but she's just like, okay, this girl I just met, forget my mission. I'm going to do everything for her and literally just die. And the last thing that she says is, talking to her parents in her head, oh, I found a friend. Her name is Michiru. So I think that Nana, is kind of confused about that. I think she's really lonely and that she maybe doesn't want to do this, but I feel like she is forced to, because I think his name's Tsuruoka. I feel like, I don't know what kind of conditioning he put her through, but he clearly made her believe that she had to do this, because there's a part in the series where Michiru says, well, I don't think it's actually your fault that your parents are dead. And Nana has this sort of mental snap where she's like, wait, is everything that I've ever known actually a lie? And that's when she starts to kind of unravel. So I think that I personally, that's why it was hard for me to connect to Nana a little bit in the beginning, was because I actually don't know what it feels like to want revenge so badly that you'd be willing to kill someone. And I hope that I never actually feel that. But that's why she was hard for me to play, to connect to her. I connected to her in other ways. But
you're a method actor, so you kind of have to.
No, that would not be good. But yeah, to summarize, I guess, is that I think that it's mostly, at least from my perspective, is that she was just impressionable at a young age and believed truly that this was what she had to do, but she kind of knew in the back of her mind that she didn't actually want to do it.
So you would say mostly she was more like a casualty of the system itself that kind of brought her into that situation.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay, that's a pretty good one. I didn't really even think about it when you were saying the parts where she was praying, but it's because she was doing it to the people that was initially, because they didn't do anything back to her. But then I cannot remember the guy's name, but the dude that was trying to blackmail her.
Oh, Tsunekichi.
Yeah. That was a weird character.
Really did such a great job. He was like creepy, but like in a cool way. Like it was weird because as a voice actor, I was like, "Oh, Billy's so cool," but as like a character, I was like, "Ugh, I don't like him."
This dude was crazy. Yeah, the character, yeah, terrible person. And then, after that, I was like, okay, cool. I understand, but that's a pretty good explanation. And like what you were saying too, and like in your experience, like how did you connect to the playing Nana? Like if you weren't able to, I mean, you obviously weren't able to do to get into that mode of like wanting to get revenge mode for your enemies, but like how like what was the way that you were able to connect with Nana as a character?
So, oh my gosh, am I going to out myself? I connected to her on the on the level of like, you guys don't know anything. I'm smarter than you guys. Like, you think that I'm this like sweet, adorable little character. Well, too bad. Like, that's how you're going to let your guard down, and then I'm going to get you. So, like I related to that, just because I like in my past I felt like people kind of didn't take me seriously because I had a higher pitched voice and liked cuter things, and like it's a whole thing, but like so I kind of connected to her on that, where she's like, okay, people are going to underestimate me, well, I'm going to use it against them, so go ahead and underestimate me, and then blah. So that's kind of how I connected to her on that.
Oh, okay. So that's fair. That's very fair. I'll definitely give it that. And other than that, like Talos on that, like I personally love RPGs, and Trails of Cold Steel is one of my favorites.
Yeah,
And
Trails.
yeah, so then you took over the role of Milliam, Milliam later in the series. I believe Ashley Birch did the first two.
She was the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. So like was it tough to like I'm just kind of was wondering, like, was it tough to make a character that was established from one person to make it your own? Like, because you did 3 and 4, the last two, right?
I did 3 and 4, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like what like how was that? Like, I mean, because it wasn't necessarily, you weren't necessarily in there initially when it first came in, but now you're like there to replace the last two. Like how is that transition?
Well, I was definitely nervous because I know like when you have an established character and the voice changes, it's kind of weird. It's jarring. Even if you like the game or the person or you don't have anything against the voice actor, it is weird to hear a character that you've played 2 games with be different. Like, I totally get that. So I was like really nervous. I was like, oh no, they're gonna not like it. Because Ashley Birch is an amazing actor, and so I was like, oh gosh, like if I mess this up, oh no. But like Val was really, really sweet during the recording, and all of the fans were so supportive, and it made me feel like a lot better and really touched that the fans were like, yeah, welcome to the family. Like you're one of us kind of thing. So like, I'm very grateful that they were so kind and accepting.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, it's funny. So my crew here, like ever since I made this show, I inadvertently invite people that worked on this project, and it got to a point where there's
a ton of characters.
There is a ton of characters, and I'm it's funny because like I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'd love to talk to you. I'll talk to this person about this, and then it always like, oh, they did Trails of Cold Steel, so like you're number 13 on that list right now towards it, and I'm just like, oh, this is great. So like my friend's kid have been kidding with me. We call it 7 degrees of trails pretty much at this point because we're just like marking it off. So I'm like, oh, cool. We got half a mil so William. It's like, so that's crazy. Is there like an emotion or attitude that you would best describe yourself as, like, with any of your characters? Like what would you like? Who would you compare to be like your kind of tone? Like hyper or like mellow? Like what kind of, like, who would you say you would best be described for one of the characters that you played?
Oh, let's see. It's interesting because I love playing characters that are super energetic or are kind of weird. Like they're like maybe they're a little quirky. Like like maybe they don't take serious situations seriously and they have like a weird quip or they're witty. I love playing those types of characters just because they're so fun. Me personally, I feel like I'm rather shy in person and it takes me a while to warm up because I'm an indoor cat. But I feel like the character that I feel like is the closest to me personality wise is probably Belle from Vindictus. Because she's really snarky and there's this weird dichotomy because she's actually I don't actually know how old she is, maybe like 300 years old, 600 years old, because she has a curse on her that makes it so she can't age, but she flip-flops between being like, oh, I'm a child, don't pick on me, and hey, show some respect, I'm older than you. So it's like that sort of interesting dichotomy. It's fun to play. But I think like the character that I feel like is maybe mostly my soul, or the character that represents my soul the most, is probably my Melody. She's like all of the good things plus anxiety, because she kind of she gets concerned a lot. Like if like all the good parts of myself plus anxiety is my Melody. So yeah, she's my favorite character I've ever played. So I really connect to her the most.
That is hilarious. Like that. And a sprinkle of anxiety towards that. That's pretty good.
Yep.
And you've done like several, like I would call independent roles too. Like, you know, like my biggest one is like Has Been Hotel, the mythological drama complex and stuff like that. Like I was actually wondering because like Has Been Hotel actually has a very strong voice acting cast, especially for like, you know, it's a YouTube, it's only on YouTube just as much as some of the mythological drama God complex was as well. Like, how did you get yourself into kind of those kind of projects itself? Was that something like, was that like a passion project that was like you knew a person, or like what got you decided into doing these things?
Well, Has Been was actually really interesting because I just randomly found the audition at 3 a.m. on Twitter.
Wow.
Or like 2 a.m. I think. And I was like, this project's gonna be big. I need to send in my demo reel. And so I sent it in, and then I think a couple days later, Viv sent me an audition for Nifty, and I was like, I gotta get this in right now because everybody and their mother's gonna audition, and then my audition's gonna get lost. And so I recorded it within the hour that I received it and sent it right back. Because
really?
I was like, yeah.
Oh my God. So like with like, cause Viv's, so Vivzy Pop, which by the way, folks, if you don't know Vivzy Pop, you need to watch Has Been Hotel. This is a ridiculously great animated series or movie. Technically it's a pilot, but it's a very good one that folks need to watch. 18 plus though. 18 plus, very much so. But
not for kids.
Not for kids, definitely, or strong religious vibes into it too. But wow, so like you got so what made you, so were you following Vivzy prior to all of this, and then when you saw the opportunity, and then you're like, wow, there you go?
No, it just popped up randomly on my Twitter. The algorithm was just like, here, Michelle, you want this? And I was like, yes, I do. Thank you.
Oh, wow. That's cool. So what about like mythological drama god complex? Like that one seemed, I don't even know where they, how did, was that something that was like, you know, your agent or something like that? Or, cause like, I just find it very fascinating. It's like a person, like a voice actor, like to your level, to be like, to go, and then all of a sudden you just go into these smaller projects, relatively smaller projects, I would say, and we're able to get into this kind of thing. It's like, man, how do they get people to do these things? It's very interesting to me.
Well, it's kind of like, because when I first started deciding that I wanted to do voiceover professionally, I started back in 2016. I just auditioned for projects online from here and there, like different websites and casting calls that I found. But that was when I was still living in Oregon. So I actually, like with Nifty, the lines in the pilot, that was my audition that I sent in, and I recorded it in my closet in Oregon. Obviously, I've upgraded a bit since then. But yeah, so that's when I was first starting. And then that's what God Complex was. So I just auditioned for it because I found it. And they cast me as Nemain and Susanoo. But yeah, it's kind of like it was ongoing. And so it's really interesting because there's like several indie projects that I was actually a part of back in 2016 that still haven't come out, or they're still sort of like, working through whatever it is that they need to do. And so sometimes they'll pop up and I'll be like, oh yeah, this thing. And so it's interesting that people are like, oh, like why are you doing like indie projects too? And it's like, well, those are from actually a long time ago, because that's the thing about voiceover, is that because we're not on camera all the time, or there's so many of us, so it's like hard to keep track of everybody. So you like start small and you're doing like all these things, and then like it just sort of all
it'll
comes out
catch
at
up
once.
to you. Yeah.
So,
Wow. Okay. So if the opportunity comes in with Hazbin Hotel, let's say Hazbin Hotel decides to make a series, like would you like to return to something like that? Or
well, I don't know if you've heard the news, but actually A24 picked it up, and they are making a series. But unfortunately, I was not asked back to be Nifty. So my
I'm sorry.
I don't know like who they picked or anything. And I actually like have very limited knowledge of that anymore, because I guess I'm technically not a part of it anymore. So I don't actually know anything else about it. But I do wish everybody on the project the very best, because it was a wonderful experience. Because that was like the first role that I booked that I felt like, oh, I'm a voice actor. Like before I moved to LA, that was the role where I was like, oh, I can do this. And so Nifty will always have a special place in my heart.
I love that. That's cool. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I did not know that it got picked up. That's interesting. And just excuse me. One more thing. I was just thinking about it. Like, when you picked up your like everything from Oregon to LA, like what you were saying that you're doing smaller roles to kind of get yourself, your feet wet in the industry itself. Like what kind of roles did you start did you start off at? Like I'm just kind of wondering like how did that process go?
Yeah, so the very first role that I ever booked was this cute little toy car, a Shopkins car named Puff Rusher, and she's like a cat and a car, but like a loofah is driving her. I don't know. Kids' toys are very, very strange, but she's super cute. And I remember going into the recording booth and being like so nervous, because I was like, oh, this is like the first time I'm doing an actual project. And the engineer said, oh, here's the headphones. Thank you. You can adjust the volume. Okay. And in my head, I was like, I'm never touching that. Don't touch it, because you're going to break it and they're never going to hire you again. So whatever level it's at, too bad for your ears. Here we go. Like, I was so nervous.
Oh no.
But yeah, that was the very first role that I booked. And it was like a music video kind of commercial animation thing. Like it was a music video to promote the toys, but there were like speaking parts in it. And so she was like this hyper, it's on YouTube still, but she's like this hyper little cat car thing. And then after that, my very first anime role that I booked was Girl 02 in Hero Mask. But it was so exciting to see like my voice coming out of the character. I'll never forget that moment where they do the playback because they check sync. And I was like, that's like, it was so exciting to like see that. And I don't even care that she was Girl 2. Like that was the coolest thing ever. And after that, then I got Grand Crest. I was what's her name? Luna and Kami, yeah. In Grand Crest War. And then I think after that was Fizel in Sword Art Online. And it just went from there.
Balloons are there. I just love like you're starting the startup for your career is very fascinating. It's like I'd have to say, because you basically went all in, and essentially you got married. Then 2 weeks later, you decided to move all the way down to California, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do that. Like that is an incredible level of determination, and I definitely respect that. That's awesome.
Well, my husband was all for it because he's originally from LA. And so he was like, oh, I'll just be closer to my family. Hooray.
So it's like, oh, I don't have to, you're telling me I don't have to convince you to come closer to my family. You're
Yeah.
openly wanting to come down here. Okay.
Yep.
Like, okay, do what you need to do. That's great. That's awesome. Hey, that's great. And last question I got here for you, and I ask this for every voice actor because we like to do like a special thing at the end of the year for it. Like, what is one of the craziest or weirdest lines that you've said that you've said in the booth, if you can remember? And it could be anything, out of context, whatever. Just like, what would you say would be like, wow, I said this?
um, well, there's two that come to mind. One is more sort of like a thing that was said, but it wasn't actually like my line, and then I have the actual line. But I was working on a series called Glepnir, and I voiced Chihiro in that, and she's like this shy sort of like character who wants to do more than she maybe can. Like, she wants to help more, but she's like not physically like strong as the other characters. And so there was a line where she's just talking on the roof to Shuichi, and the line wasn't fitting, and it was something like, but I don't know what's happening, or something like that. And the director said, cheat the butt. Because like the butt is like, but I don't know what we're doing, like that kind. But my mind instantly went like to, so I was like, cheat the butt, and that was just so funny to me. That phrase is so funny. So now I remember it sometimes. I go, cheat the butt. But then the actual line that Chihiro said is like, Glepnir is such an interesting, weird show. But like, so the premise is Shuichi like made a wish or something, and so now he has this magical power, but he becomes like a guy in a
stuffed
furry
animal
suit.
dog or something.
Yeah, he's
right?
like in a furry suit, but it's like him, and so like other people can like ride inside him like a suit, like you're a character actor at like Disneyland. So Chihiro like unzips the back of him, and she goes, "I'm going in," and it was just so funny. Like the director had to mute because yeah, it was really funny.
You can't even like you can't even have a straight face when you're recording
that was so hard for me because I kept laughing. Oh, it was so funny.
Oh my god, that is perfect. It's just, I'm going in.
Yeah, I'm going in.
Oh my god. Okay, that's up there. I will say. I'm not gonna lie. That's definitely up there. Oh man, that is great. Hey, Michelle, is there like any upcoming events that you're going to be going to, or is this is the part where I like to plug? Like, have you plug where you're going to be, or like where people can find you?
Yeah. So there, I don't know if I can announce. Oh, wait, there is a con that I am going to, this year. I'm gonna wait for them to announce so that I don't mess up anything that they're doing with their planning. But when they say, then I'm gonna promote the heck out of it.
Okay.
But yeah, I will be going to a con this year. But yeah, people can find me on Twitter at Michelle A. Marie. They can find me on my website at michelleamarie.com. And I am writing a book, actually. And it's set to come out this summer, so I'm really excited. It's called Allies, and it is a dystopian science fiction trilogy.
Wow, so you're making a trilogy book? Book? Oh, no.
Yep, that's what I've been doing.
That sounds awesome.
Project. It's my baby.
Oh, so what, you got to tell me like what's it about? I mean, that sounds awesome.
So I wrote the synopsis on my website. So let's see if I can not ramble. But basically, my story focuses on a 17-year-old girl named Al, and she is hiding her identity and pretending to be a boy in society because society has lost a lot of their population. So a woman's role is very limited. And so and she was like raised hidden in a bunker for most of her life. So she's actually only been outside interacting with human beings other than her parents, which are actually her guardians, not her real parents, for only 2 years. So she's not very good socially. So she kind of doesn't, get it. But yeah, so it's like this weird dystopian science fiction kind of, it's like the aftermath of the fall of a utopian society. And she's stuck with this guy she hates on this mission because they're collecting artifacts for a museum. And so then she discovers an awful secret about her birth mother, and she searches for more information.
Ooh, look at that. That's good. That's book one. Oh man, that sounds awesome. Oh, I am looking forward to checking that out. Definitely. Oh man. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for talking with me, geeking out with me here today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, it was really fun. Now, like in my head, I'm just hearing I'm going in repeatedly.
Yeah, use it as motivation if you're like, okay, this is scary. No, I got this. I'm going in.
There you go. Oh man. And guys, if you like to hear great interviews with great people such as Michelle, you can always check out all the interviews that we have done on our website, confreaksandgeeks.com. Or you just go to the YouTube channel for the video, the full video, or go to any podcast services out there on Pop Culture Gems. So once again, this is Davis signing off. Y'all take it easy.